Hey guys, thank you for joining us for another exciting episode of Yoml. This is the Year of Magical Learning podcast. We are on Reflection 234, and this is the part two of five reflection from one of our favorite author, Nassim Nicholas Taleb, The Anti-Fragile, the things that gain from disorder. And, I think, this is one of the I guess a little bit more of a harder topic to take in, but this is why we have this podcast to discuss it.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one. Anti-Fragile is definitely one of my favorite books. It's just one of those books where just like aha after aha after aha, kind of moment you're just like, oh, whoa, oh, whoa. It's like a roller coaster of new ideas just thrown at you, and a
But
whirlwind, and it's
but I
fun.
think that this is the reason why I say it's kind of hard to understand is if you uh pick up the book without the Black Swan references and the randomness, full by random references. It's a bit harder to understand because it's missing those ladder the
Right.
rung of those ladders, and so I think even the Black Swan we talked about Black Swan before. It's like if somebody doesn't have a foundation to understand Black Swan, you could say, well, the world is going to have this kind of extremity, so why should I do anything because I can't even control it, and
Right. It reminds me
so
of like a kid that goes into philosophy school, whatever, like school and like college for philosophy 101, and he goes back home and he's like spouting off like Nietzsche and all Rousseau or whatever the hell else he learned, and like
mhm.
talking to his friends, and you're like it's just what your point is this shit's dangerous if taken without any other context in mind and life backgrounds in mind. Sure, there's some points that are made in there, but like you don't want to be the guy. I'm not gonna walk into a party someday and be like, oh, it's all random, man. It's just all random, dude. Like this meeting's random. We're all none of this matters. None of it, man.
I
Like
mean,
and people are gonna be like,
what's the
wrong with you?
point? What's the
Yeah,
point?
right.
That's the thing that people will ask because if you don't understand the background behind it, then one of the obvious, I guess, the obvious thought that comes to mind is if I can't control anything, then what's the point,
Right.
right? What's the point of trying? What's the point of of any of these things if I have no control over it? And so that's the
Well,
thing. It's pretty dangerous without having the rung of the ladder. And so, Anti-Fragile is a book that comes after the Black Swan, right? So
right.
you probably need the Black Swan first, and then the Black Swan you actually need the I
I
don't
don't
know if
think
you
you
need.
need fool. I don't think you need fooled by randomness to understand Black Swan. I think you do need Black Swan to understand Anti-Fragile. And I don't think you need any of the books to understand Skin of the Game. I think it's really these two
Well,
books,
no,
Black Swan
Skin the
and
Game. I don't think it's in the categorizations of the main I guess the main topic that we
no.
that he tries to elucidate. I think Skin the
I
Game is
think
just
these
like his
two,
his
yeah,
epilogue of okay, I've written all this work. This I have something I want to say and I want to get off my chest. So to me, the Skin the Game is like a book that a more of like, hey, this is what I've learned.
I think it was more of a personal, fun. I think it was like that one was all for him, like,
But even so, but I still think it offers a valuable lessons for us because like it's if I were to
yeah.
go, hey Chris, you and I need to get together and we want to be a partner in our business. If you don't have the skin in the game, I don't believe you.
Soul in the game. I wouldn't talk to you.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying is when we
All right,
when
you're
we took the skin in the game, we say, well, our lesson from this book is we gotta look for people with soul in the game.
exactly. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. We want to. Anyway, yeah. Let's not ruin. All right, you ready? You ready to get into?
Well, this
Because I
is
want
not this that's
to. We got to do the reflection real fast. All right, you
the
ready?
reflections.
Yeah. All right. So part two is why isn't it sharing? There you go. Part two is simplicity. It takes no skill to understand something, but mastery to write it. And started off this reflection with KISS, the whole acronym for keep it simple, stupid. You've heard of that before, right?
Yeah, I do, but I'm not sure about the last S.
That's the joke, is like, just keep it simple, stupid,
Uh,
like you're, it is, it's like, who was that one guy that was Bill Clinton's advisor, the Raging Cajun? What was his name? The Raging Cajun. You
I
don't
don't know.
remember? You know
No.
who? I don't know how do you spell? Oh, it's probably Raging Cajun. What the hell is his name? James Carville, that guy. The Raging Cajun. His whole moniker was, it's the economy, stupid. That was like their slogan. It's like, just stay on focus on everything. It doesn't matter. Stay focused. It's the economy, stupid. It's like let everything else go. Stay on task. Anyway, but I always remember, personally, I've always remembered this statement,
Hmm.
and the saying. It's something that's always stuck in my head. But like, as I've gone through this journey, the funny thing about a stupid sentence like this, keep it simple, stupid, is, while it sounds incredibly simplistic, it probably took whoever first coined this phrase and brought it to however it went out to the world, and was shared with the world. It probably took that person 40 years of their life and a whole lot of exploration and learning in order to distill down that whatever they had learned into that stupid little kiss, keep it simple, stupid, or like James Carville with, it's the economy, stupid, or it's or Nassim Taleb, where it's like, randomness, like, or the black swan. I mean, really, you know what I mean? Just that saying, you say the words the black swan, you and I both know what we mean by it, and he, or anti-fragile, or, like, I mean, these concepts that he's talking about in these books, where he's spent, you know and I don't even know how many hours in his life reading and learning and exploring and crafting and like diving deeper into it, through his day-to-day practices and works, and living that life, and the soul in the game kind of thing, right, in order to come away with, something so simple as, a black swan, idea, right, where the biggest impact, the biggest of the most impactful events in life are the ones that, we least expect, kind of thing, and like it sounds like such a simple phrase, but that's through an insane amount of work that was done, over, a long period of time. So for me, like, this, what uh anti-fragile taught me was a reminder about the simplicity of all of this journey, right? I mean, it made me start to think about this whole journey that I've personally been on, and that you and I've been on together as we've gone through this, together via the podcast series. Is, it took me almost an entire year of my life and daily writing to write a 400-page book that I was able to distill down whatever the hell was going on in my head, um, into the phrase "living for two," and I still didn't really understand it. After I finished writing that book, I mean, I still didn't like. And then it's taken me another, 2+ years to finally refine that thought a little bit more and more through this whole journey. And every day, learning, reading, reflecting, doing, learning, reading, reflecting, doing, to understand, what does that mean to me? How do I practice that every single day? How do I keep Amelia, in my actions and forefront, and keep her connected to me in my life every single day? What does this mean? When I first, it took me 400 pages to explain that concept to somebody, right? Basically. Now, I could probably write it in 5 pages, 4 pages. Let's say 4 pages. I could probably write it now in like 4 pages of what I mean by it. And it's like, my dream is to be able to say it in like one sentence, or maybe even a quick phrase like "keep it simple, stupid." By the time that I leave this earth, because then it'll be so crystal clear to me that I could say to anybody, like, what is this? Like, what does this mean? Like, why do I like? I can't understand everything that nobody can understand everything that I've gone through, or that you and I have gone through together. But what they can understand is when we finally can distill this thing down to something that's so simplistic that anybody can understand it, like that's what the quote is. It takes no skill to understand that. It takes no skill to understand. Keep it simple, stupid. It takes no skill to understand what a black swan is. It takes no skill to understand, what meaningful work and meaningful relationships mean, right? But it takes mastery to write that and bring it to life and describe it to somebody, and to distill it down into those three simplistic, profoundly simple statements of ours. Out of this is going to coming out of this journey is going to be focus on your values. Like, think about everything that I just said to you, with focus on your values and the profoundly simple statement that is. And I know what your head's thinking right now. It's going back and it's thinking back through all these conversations we've had and all the things that we've gone through and all the mentoring and all the living and and bringing the stuff into your own personal life and my own personal life and what does it mean for living it for two and what does it not, all these things, right, can all be distilled down into focus on your values, and you and I both know what that means. And you and I also had to spend 3 years, for a better part of almost 3 years, try to say those words to somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, isn't that blows your mind? I mean, remember back when we first said the words clubbing? We were talking to Nickel, and he goes, "I'm hearing it's like a club, but it's also like a company. Like, I don't know, maybe we should call it like clubbing." And we were all like, "Oh, that's it. That is what we mean." And then we spent the next like 4 months trying to talk about. No, it's I mean, God, how many weird ass things that we try to describe this as, and we still don't really fully know, but like at least we're closer and closer and closer to say like clubbing is meaningful work and meaningful relationships, like, I mean, that's probably about as best we can get it right now. I mean, I'm sure we can get a little bit better, but but anyway, my whole point of this whole reflection was from Anti-Fragile. It's just, it's just one of those thoughts that I was like, man, simplicity is so hard, the universe is like simple, right? But like that doesn't mean that it's stupid. The universe is incredibly smart, and it's taken the universe millions and millions and millions and billions of years to be able to figure out, like, and distill down its principles into something that just makes sense, right? It's kind of the same for us too. The more time you spend on something, more simple it becomes. But that does not mean that it was simple or the concept is simple at all. But anyway, yeah, I'd love to get your thoughts.
Right. I think, it's hard to, I guess, leverage the existing words and understanding and the meaning behind the words, right? Some of these words are hard to understand and they have multiple meanings. And for somebody to distill a vast amount of information into a simple bumper sticker statement, it's essentially what these are. You look at like Einstein, right? He spent, the majority of his career to come up with the E=mc². But from that perspective, it's just very, very simple. But you think about a number of years taking him to go from there to that simple formula. That's the final formula that he's able to derive here. All of the things that comes into that formula has been able to satisfy all of the requirements that anyone can come up with and say, hey, what about this situation? What about that situation? What about this scenario or that scenario? Something with, Newton's law of, physical mass time acceleration. It's very simple. It's just two variable mass time acceleration, right? And that is as simple as I get, but that describes like the majority of the problems in physics in reality, right? Based on the physics perspective. It describes most of it. I mean, you're talking about like gravity, you're talking about like motion from the horizontal plane, you're talking about like vertical, you're talking about centrifugal force, many other things. Same thing with the book, the compound effect, right? Compound effect. There's two simple words, but it takes the whole book to explain to people what it means.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so that's the thing is, we even some of the things that we have talked about, like, the elephant whisperer, right? Or the elephant and the rider. that is a construct that allows people to understand many things beneath just the construct itself. Because we're talking about the elephant and the rider, it represents a lot of things that we um, understand without the spoken word. And I
Yeah,
think having the ability to pick out something that satisfy all of the requirement all of the issues and problem we encountered thus far into one thing, where that thing is so versatile that's able to fulfills any of the problem we have. So we talk about company, right? What is a company, right? It's a club, and it's a company. But it's not about the work, it's not about the money, it's not about, I mean, these things, if you're talking about the values, right? The value you do is encompasses meaningful work, is encompasses meaningful relationship. And then we talk about, let's expound the meaningful work. Well, what does meaningful work is entail? So it basically say, the work that aligns with my skill set, aligns with the kind of capability that I was born with, and all these things. It's just basically unpacked. So you're talking
right.
about having, I mean, it's sometimes like it's like um you know how sometimes when you buy something from like Amazon or whatever, and it comes in a box, and then when you take it out, it becomes much bigger than in the box, and then you can't even figure out how to put them back together
Yeah. Oh yeah.
because
Yeah.
the way they organize and put them to the box, right? To me, it reminds me of that. Because the thing is, it takes creativity and mastery to put the whatever all the parts into a nice simple box in a little tight, container. And so to me, having the ability to say a single concept like, the elephant and the rider, it encompasses a massive amount of information and squeezed so tightly into one little simple thing that you can take with you. All right. Just like, we're talking about like the auto run down here or green lights, right? We
Right. Right.
understand what that means. Something with Black Swan is like people say, well, I don't know if I can describe these thing, but somehow when we um, hear the word Black Swan, we can easily understand the concept of the event that happens, similar to a Black Swan. That, hey, among the natural colors of the swan, they're all white, right?
Right.
And so understanding, hey, maybe COVID is a Black Swan event. Well, how do I understand COVID is a Black Swan event unless I understand how Black Swan works in a white swan world?
Right.
And having that simple concept give us a lot of images, like a videos, and each image is about. If you say, an image is 1,000 words, right? And a video is, thousands of words.
Right.
And so having the ability to distill down requires so much. I wouldn't say training, but so much effort
It's
into
just
internal.
mastery. It's just
Yeah,
time. It's just time. It's time thinking, writing, and doing. I mean, or
I mean,
time.
it's a mastery of the concept of the in order to relate that to someone else.
Right.
That to me, it require a lot of analysis, a lot of like reflection, a lot of understanding it. Because if you don't understand it, right, there's no such thing as mastery. You can spend so much time in it, but you don't understand it. That's so for me. Is I want also to distinguish between just spending time versus time and understanding, right?
Well,
You need time, but also need understanding. Like
right.
without understanding, even if you have the time, it still doesn't mean much.
Yeah, you need to figure out how this applies to the real world, like living it. Like, I mean, like it's like you can't just tell somebody what black swans are and then just walk away. It's like, how do you apply that to life? You can't just tell somebody, like you said, the compound effect. It's how does that work? Like, how did you live that? Like, what did you discover when you did this? Like, you can't, like we could go back on the a million different ways. Almost every one of these books, I mean, hell, basically the Year of Magical Learning, almost every one of these reflections is a distillation down of a particular concept, and then a description as to how what that made me think
Well,
about, or how we, and then we discuss it.
one Yoml book is 265, or at least about 300 some books.
Right. Exactly.
So
That's not,
so you
yeah,
read one book, it's essentially unpacking 300 books.
uh, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, it's unpacking 300
And then
books.
each book is unpacking like 40, 50 years of somebody else's experience.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's wild because it's like, um, honestly, like this goes back again to why I love books so much more than any other form of media out there. Like it's something that takes a long time to create, and then it has to be consumed the way the author wanted you to consume it. Like you can't just um like I don't know, like it's you have to sit with it for a really long time, and for both parties, like both parties have to agree, as the consumer of this, and as the and it's not advertised either, you know what I mean? Like you pay for it, and then you can read it when you want or not read it when you want, or listen to it, I guess, if you want to do an audiobook or whatever it may be. But either way, like the sheer act of creating a book is the idea of simplicity. I mean, they're taking, their entire life and trying to work through their own whatever it is they're trying to work through to be able to craft a story to you that you can understand, and like you just don't get that when you even watch I mean, I guess movies sometimes can be, but like I don't know. There's just something about books. It's just the most accessible, you know, ancient, kind of thing that like we can all spend time and on and we can pick up whatever we want to pick up versus like some algorithm telling us, yeah, I mean, sure, Amazon might, maybe give us some
Well,
recommendations,
I think
whatever.
books is probably the best I guess medium,
Mm,
because you think about it, everybody who can speak and write or have an education have a long history ability to write. And so anyone with any kind of gift or skills can record and
right.
document the experiences by writing it, because it's natural to them. But for somebody to say, well, I am Charles Darwin, I can collect all these things, but how do I put it into a video? You know what I mean?
Right.
How do I put it into a movie? So for a movie, you have very limited sources for good information, and even for books, like the books that I like to read, or like for example, the thing is, every single great book, they usually have like one or two masterpieces. So for example, you look at Charles Darwin. What is his masterpiece?
The
The
theory
Origin of
of
Species,
evolution.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because when you hear Charles Darwin, what books it comes to mind? So that thing is, that's his
Right,
life's work.
right.
Because the thing is, so if somebody like,
Like the
even if
Seven
you go
Habits, Yeah.
like the 7 Habits, right? I mean, that's like at least one, two, well, one generation. Well, the Dr. Stephen Covey's, his
Mhm.
life work, but then his son took over after that and wrote the eighth habit. But I'm saying is, it took this guy his lifetime of all the experiences, and taking all of the information he got and orchestrate it into the simple 7 habits,
Right.
right? You think about all the things that you do in life, you are distilling into 7 simple steps that you can do, and that is a masterpiece. Because
Yeah.
if you say, well, I'm going to look at other books, and if those books are really like, oh, this guy wrote a book once a year, right? Well, he don't have much to say. Even if the guy has 100 books, and if he becomes famous, it gotta be because of one of two books that embrace his entire experience into something that, hey, is useful and valuable for somebody. Because if some so that's what I'm saying is, not all books are created equal. The books that I like to read are basically life experiences from a
Yeah.
person with their whole soul in the game.
Right. That's actually why I think I don't like Fooled by Randomness, and I loved Black Swan and Anti-Fragile, because like it was more about his life and how he was, how he was applying these concepts,
Yes,
and his soul was in the game. Fooled by
exactly.
randomness was more of a
Well, the full by random is something that
philosophical,
he needs. It's like a preface, right?
right,
A
right.
preface of well, why is Black Swan comes to be? It's because in reality there is randomness, and we are fooled by it. That's why we don't see Black Swan as what it is. So even though he didn't spend his entire life on fooled by randomness, but he needs to introduce it. There's a
Mm-hmm.
concept that he understands in life. And so to me, yes, full element isn't as vividing as the Black Swan or Anti-Fragile. I agree with you on that aspect. It's because because the thing is, I don't think he spent much time on the full randomness in terms of his
Yeah, it was more like
personal
a
experience
discourse.
accounting for it. He said, "Well,
Right,
this is how I understood." Basically,
right.
you think
He was just
about
explaining an idea. It was a philosophical.
so you look from a remembering self versus
Mhm.
a experience self, experiencing self, right? So when he wrote the form of remnants, it's basically this is how I understand the world. I didn't experience this directly,
Right,
right? But of all the years of things I've seen, this is why I see this is a seed for what I'm going to describe in the other book because
right,
this is a thing that exists and that
right.
people don't pay attention to. So that's like the compound effect, right? There's just one phenomenon in life that exists, but
Or we
people
could.
are fooled by it. But I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it into the black swan, and I'm going to say, well, because the thing is, I need to more like elucidate in with examples of what I mean by fooled by randomness in the Black Swan. So Black Swan is like this is my personal experience of how fooled by randomness applies to me from the author's perspective, and that's why I think it's Black Swan is more vividing than the introduction book and the epilogue book, and
Yeah,
that's what I call it. You know, the introduction book and the epilogue book. That's the first one and the last one. The
right.
two, the middle one is where the meat is. But a lot of times, like I think it's better if either you have a foundation in how probability works,
Mhm.
then Black Swan makes better sense. I mean, it's not like you can't, but it requires a lot of thinking if you just dive directly without background information. But I think having the full by randomness book helps you understand some of these things better when you read Black Swan. But I'm saying, a lot of the great books are usually somebody's experience compacting their knowledge and orchestrating into something that you can follow. Because a lot
Right.
of times you and I, we go into the company experience and we have many things in different places. This completely disorganized. But when you and I comes together and say, well, it's about meaningful relationship, right? And then we're talking about focusing your values
Right.
because the thing is that doesn't
That's
come
how you
in
get.
order. It doesn't
Right.
come in order. We can
Right.
have to distill it into something that say, hey, whatever other thing I tell about, right? It's okay if you don't understand it. All I have to remember is meaningful relationship, meaningful work, and focusing your value. Those are the only two things you need to keep in mind. Need
But
to
there,
take
but
away from.
there's so many underlying principles behind all of that that have. There's 365 principles that underlie all of that, really, for the most part. I mean, probably more.
Probably more than
I
that.
mean,
One three sixty five.
there's
Probably gonna be
there's so there's
thousands.
I mean, yeah, I mean, like I think back to like some of the, like our imagination is one of our superpowers, and culture is one of our biggest weapons, and how to 90% bee and 10%, or sorry, 90% monkey and 10% bee, and like, how do we create a culture that's, culture is the strategy, or culture eats strategy for breakfast, and now it's culture is the strategy, and then all these, like, we could write a pre-book about
I would
club.
say culture is cake.
Oh yeah, eat the cake, right? Yeah, like I
Because
mean,
we're talking about eating cake, eating frog, right? And we're talking about culture strategy. I said, well, of
well, we
all the
have,
experiences I've seen, well, I would say culture is cake, right?
I mean,
What do you mean by
we
culture cake? Well, let me tell you.
we have. Oh crap! We're not paying for Slacks. They can't, but become a professor of the jungle, and value driven habits, and conscious living, and don't spank your
Don't spend
elephant, and
it.
yeah, We need to write a book called How to Train Your Elephant. Is what we need to write a book. As I wrote this down here as a I need to keep this to make sure that the stupid free Slack version doesn't keep deleting our shit. Not deleting it, but it's like
it's hiding it. And so once you subscribe, you can access it.
Right. But anyway, no, I mean, like it's remarkable. I mean, hell, we were just kind of talking about this before, before we were jumping on this conversation. Like the fact that we're on podcast 234, I just finished 360 today of the writing project, and like we're getting closer and closer to the finish line that is the marathon, of Your Magical Learning. And not that it's going to stop, but like this project may stop at that point in time potentially. I don't know, it probably won't, but I mean, we'll probably still always do, like, because this is our 7th generation committee meeting, which if anybody that just heard that, they're probably like, what the fuck does that mean? And you're like, well, we know exactly what that means. That means we're focused on, 7 generations from now, and making sure that the core values that we and the principles that we started clubbing on are protected and only, turned over to people in the future that that understand this and will protect this going forward, because this is all about culture is the strategy, right? Like this is all about making sure that we are starting a meaningful work and a meaningful relationship driven commerce business with the idea of culture comes first, the ideas can come second. Like we are not starting this business based off of an idea of a what that we're going to do. We're starting it based off of a why are we all getting together to go do this in the first place, and truly starting with like the culture first and making sure that everybody is going through all that. But anyway, like the point of all this stuff is like it's going to I kind of lost my train of thought, I guess, but anyway, I'm so glad that we're going through all this stuff, and it's hard to believe that we're even where we are, and it's hard to believe what we'll even be going forward in the future. But like, maybe it's a good time to drop the, I don't know where we're going, but I know how we'll get there, talk about, keeping it simple, right? Like that's basically life in a nutshell. Just stay focused on your values, one step at a time. We'll keep
Yeah, I
having
mean, that's what I'm saying. It's a lot. We have so many, all the books has immense value. And because of the immense number of effort and number of years it takes to produce one good book, like The Black Swan, Anti-Fragile, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and many other books like Happiness Hypothesis, Sapiens, and all that. I mean, you're talking about like, even I mentioned those 5, right? That could easily be like 50 years each.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That's 50 years each. And you say, well, let's if we take the life work of other people and to use that as way to distill our own I guess path and concept of life, you are talking about kind of like compressing and packing in like thousands of years of experience into one book. And then in those books there's basically one concept that we want to to promote, which is essentially culture's cake, or meaningful work, meaningful relationship, or focusing on value. Because like all that, when you unpack it, it basically there's no end to it. You think about it, there's no end. If you keep following the trail, there's no end to it. And so to me, it's like in life, right? Right. So you can say, well, culture's cake, and life is not destination, it's the journey. Because what's your destination? What's my destination?
I don't know.
It's when the thing is, people live, people die.
Right.
The beginning and the end, that's the destination. So it shouldn't be about the destination. Your destination is you're going to return to dust. That's the destination. I mean, if you
it's focus on
as far as I can see now, right? Without like the ability to solve the immortality problem, right? Your destination, my destination, is going to be we return to dust, right? We basically part ways from this world. We leave this earth. That's our destination. And so the thing is, everybody has the same destination. So what's the difference between your life and anybody else's life? So it isn't about the destination. It's about the journey. So all of the things that we've learned thus far, I can tell you, life is about the journey.
Right.
Life is about, carrying the spoonful of oil around a majestic palace without losing the enjoyment, the blissful emotion of enjoying the beautiful palace. And
100%.
go back to our first book, The Alchemist. And that's essentially that aspect, right? But we basically unravel all these layers of that first book itself. The first book itself is very, very simple because it packs so much thing. Now we have to unravel and think, okay, we understand these detail. This detail has another set of details, like the Russian dolls where you open one doll, there's another doll inside, open that doll, another doll inside. But because in a intangible format, it never ends. It doesn't matter how small it gets, it never ends. And
Right.
so that's the beauty of having the simplicity, but it takes tremendous mastery to pen down a concept like what Nassim Nicholas Taleb did, or what
Or what we're
uh,
doing. Think about how much time we spent on this. Every one of these reflections. What do you think? How much time do you think went into each one of these reflections?
I would say a couple hours per reflection plus the podcast. It's like 2 hours, 3 hours.
Well, don't forget about reading the
But
book.
the reading the book, reading the
Right.
book
I
take
mean, like, so
well, the book's about it's 9 hours,
I don't
six
know.
to
I
nine
mean,
hours average.
so like this one thought, this one reflection, let's
It
let's just say it
takes
took 15 hours, and that's not that's collected between you and my time, or something like
uh-huh.
that. And then let's just say that each one of these, I don't know if each one of them took 15 hours. Let's say on average 10 hours. I don't know, collectively for each
Yeah,
for each
10 hours to make it easy to do
yeah.
math.
Let's just go with
But
that.
it's about because
That's
these books, when you look at the book that has any substantial um I guess information in them, it's around 6 to 9 hours. I know the habit 7 habits of highly effective people is about 11 hours, but
I think it's like 15. I think
15
it's
hours,
like,
yeah,
yeah,
15
yeah,
hours. But I'm
yeah.
saying is on average, it should be around 9 to 10 hours per book.
Yep.
And most of the book we pick up are pretty much in that range. I mean, I
Right.
don't. There's few books that
Yeah, I
are
mean,
much
there's
shorter,
there's there's
but
some that are way longer, some that are way shorter, but like
that's what I'm
it
saying.
all
On
averages out.
average,
Yeah,
on
averages
average, it
out.
averages out, right? So
Yeah,
the majority of the books are within those range, and there are some outliers but the outliers has a small, I guess, numbers of books that are much, I guess, shorter, and some smaller amount and much
right,
longer.
right. No, so I mean, I guess what I was getting at is like, for us to do this whole journey, if you added up 365 times, let's say 10 hours of collective work. I mean, what is that? 3,650 hours.
3,650 hours. Yeah.
That's 3,650 hours for us to say to the words to you, focus on your values. Like
And
like
and then and then you take that and say, hey, if somebody wrote a 10-hour book, how much how many hours would they have to spend to experience it, to deduct it, and
oh yeah,
to
shit.
master it?
I
That's like 50 years, right? So
I mean, I forgot us
multiply
living our life.
3,650
Yeah,
hours times 50. Uh,
but wait, I mean, I just totally undershot that massively because like we're talking about living our lives too because we're applying these concepts every single day. So I have no idea how many hours I spent on trying to live for two. No idea. Like no, I couldn't even begin to fathom how many hours that I've done living and trying to make this world make sense through my actions, not just the concepts and the things that we're learning, but put it into action. So like I don't even know. Actually, now that I just said that I really don't even know. I mean, this could be 10,000 hours for all I know. You know what I mean? That we've put together for this whole entire thing over this whole entire project. Like I don't even know. So the point is it's a massive amount for you and I to distill this down to this,
yeah.
this 3 words or meaningful work.
Focus.
You know what I mean? Like blows your mind sometimes even think about it. But I think simplicity is, it's kind of
Well, I think simplicity is just mastery.
it's beautiful. I mean, no, I mean, I think it's beautiful. Like, I mean, David is is simplistic. Everything that out there in this world you see it, Apple, when you look at like an Apple phone or something like that, like it's pretty simplistic. Like you should know what to do with it. It reminds me of the design of everyday things, right? Like the best designs are ones that are the easiest, most simple ones but that simple design took a whole lot of thought and understanding of humanity in order to really design it to make it so simple. I mean, like people don't. Can you think of anything that you do in your life that's complicated that you enjoy?
No, not really.
Like just super complicated. That you're just like,
No, I mean the joy is to make it simple. Same thing in
I,
coding.
I agree.
I can write a one. So the thing is, I can take 1,000 line of code and distill it into like five. Right. So that's
Right.
how do you take 1,000 line of code and to distill into five and can handle more scenarios than 1,000 line of codes?
I have no idea.
That's what you call mastery.
Exactly. And that's and I'll see your code on a website and I'll go, hey, True, I want my website to look like that. And you're like, well, Chris, it doesn't just work like that, and you're like, no, it's fine. Just make it do this, like, because this is really cool. This person did a great job. Yeah, well, yeah, they spent, like you're gonna say to me, like you're an idiot. Like, how does Novak Djokovic, do that, and you're like, well,
He just swung. He just swung.
right. All I do is move his arm like this,
You did the same thing. Go ahead,
yeah, I
do
mean, yeah,
it.
go ahead.
And then,
Like,
and when you
yeah,
did it, it flies up in the ceiling. And that's what I
right.
do is when I play tennis, right? It always fly. I mean, the thing is, you know how the tennis court has these like high, really high, super high fences,
Right.
and most of my shots, even the return shots, went out.
I believe it.
And
I
so
mean, because you
I did the same thing I see on TV.
you got to turn your wrists, if you want
I
to get
see
it
the
to come
same thing
back
that
down.
you did, right?
Yeah, right.
The result is completely different, and it's
Well,
a mass difference between.
well,
It's night and day
I could
between.
tell you exactly what you're doing. You're hitting. So think of your hand. You're hitting the ball like your hand. The racket looks like your hand, really. So if you're hitting the ball like this, the racket's tilted up like this, and if your racket's tilted up like this, the ball is going to hit and going to go that way, right? Like
Mhm.
when you hit the ball, you actually want your hand like this, because when the ball hits, you want to come over the top of the ball so you can bring it back down. So you're when you're coming through and your hands like this, it's just going to go that way.
It's very
Coming through your hands
easy
like
to for
this.
you to explain. It's very easy for you to explain, but it's very hard to execute. That's my point.
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, it is very hard to execute. This is anyway. I think we're
Because the thing is, it's pretty simple. It's pretty
right.
simple. All you have to do is take your hand, right, and curve it. Right? Hit it on the curve so that you force it to go down.
Right.
What's so difficult about that? Well, I can't do it.
Exactly. Well, and what's so difficult to write about writing 1 and 0, a bunch of different times? Like, I mean, sure,
Yeah.
it's just two numbers. Cool. You write a bunch of numbers at the same time. I can write 1 and 0, 1 0 1 0 1 0 1 0. I mean, I don't even know if that's code anymore, but I'm sure
But
it's
that's what
not.
I'm saying is, I can write a book, and I can write like, let's say I can write like 20,000 lines. But doesn't mean that it can be understood by anyone versus a master, a great author, right? That can take the same, I guess, tool set, which is all the other words, all the English word that we have, and put it into the right patterns that elucidate, an image in the reader's mind,
Mhm.
right? And so that's the difference between a master and not a master, a
Right.
mastery versus non-mastery. Because you say, well, I know the mechanics, I know the word, I know basically all the word, like whatever the word that's there in English, I know them.
Mhm.
But doesn't mean that I can put them together and orchestrate into a book that describe a concept like happiness hypothesis or anti-fragile or black swan. It's not going to happen, even though the putting together a sentence, it's simple.
Did
Putting
you
together a meaning, it's simple.
the book that I'm reading right now with my wife that I was telling you about before we started, it was called
Mm-hmm.
What's it called? The croissant, one more
The
croissant for
croissant
the road.
for the road, right?
Yeah, where she's doing like the Tour de France with eating a croissant each step of the way, and documenting her journey, and talking about, the food that she ate and wine or whatever and stuff like that, right? As she goes around France and eating croissants, and rating croissants and stuff. It's funny because my wife and I, in theory, this sounded like a home run for the two of us, like a home run. Like we both have been to France multiple times and we both love it. We both love to go back. We love it. We love wine. We love French food.
And you love croissants.
Well, she does. I'm gluten free, but she loves croissants, and things like that. So we're and I like sports, and I guess cycling's a sport if you're gonna do Tour de France, and we like travel, right? Like, so we were like, huh, this sounds like it's right up our alley, and as we've been like, we're about like, I don't know, a fourth of the way through the book or something like that at this point in time, and we're both like, I don't know what's going on here, and as I started to explain, the like why I loved travel books to my wife, and things like that, I was like, there's no connection to a why that she's doing this. She's just got on a bike and wanted to eat croissants, and I'm like that's cool, it sounds fun, but like, why are we doing this? Like, why are we on this adventure with you, and like, why are we going from this place to this place? Or I was like, if you're gonna write a travel blog, like, you either need to go like all Brill Bryson, on me, and like load it up with so much new information of like, an interesting knowledge about the places that you're visiting that I would have never ever been able to figure out, like, or like, it's like listening to Bill Bryson talk is like listening to like an encyclopedia that makes you feel, I don't know, warm and fuzzy, but like for some reason, like he ties together, stuff, just random information, and turns it into like this amazing, I don't know, like you just are learning so much. He just makes you learn so much about
Well,
whatever
this
you're
is
doing,
called mastery. It's
It
mastery
is
because
like it's his,
he's
it's
able
like
to tie a very boring, live event or concept into something that's interesting. Hey,
right.
I eat this croissant at this place, or this place has history. Well, I tell you about history of, maybe, one upon a time was supposed to be like, some kind of, a wishing well, whatever
Right.
story it is. But this is what mastery comes in. It's like, I know how to elucidate a lot of
Knows
the
how to tell a story. Yeah, and he knows how
you
to tell
know
a story. Yeah,
exactly. It's for versus somebody who said, I can write the text, I can write the sentence
right.
grammatically correct, right? But it doesn't do anything to me because I don't understand everything. I just basically,
It's
not
like I'm reading somebody's journal about riding a bike and eating some food, and like, I mean, that's not, that's okay, I guess, but it's not entertaining. It's not. I'm not there with you. Like, I mean, I don't feel like I'm physically there with her, and I don't know why we're there either. We're just like, it's just like she's just like, and then we did this, and then we went there, and then we did this, and then we got back on our bike, and then I ate a croissant. It was pretty good. Here's a recipe. It's like
right.
it's
Yeah,
like
yeah. So to simplify this, um if you were to write a book, right, you can say, this is what the story is about. In general, I can tell
right,
the gist of it, but people don't understand what it is because there's missing details. But
right.
that's where the book comes in, is able to tell it in a way and give examples that people understand what you say. That's mastery because you have to understand totality of the subject before you can have a book that can, I guess, engage the readers into the stories.
Right.
And having that skills require a lot of training,
I mean,
and that's the point.
this journey is, in theory, just reading books and talking about what we learned. I mean, like, that's like, but
Well,
that's
yeah,
not
it's
what it's
so
about. I
the
mean,
thing is,
it has
it's
nothing to do with that.
reading books, right? Talking about it, learning it, and then writing it.
Well, but it's
because
more than
you,
that. It's an
because the thing is,
exploration. It's a journey. It's learning about, it's exploring our beautiful questions of life, in general. Like, I mean, it's
right, because you think about it. When we read a book, right, we understand some of it, and then we live it, and then we say, well, based on what I did, this is what I have come to conclude. So
right.
this is the lesson. That's what I'm saying is, what we doing is we are reading a book, we're picking up a concept from the book, and then we try it, and then we get a feedback from the thing that we do. Then
Right.
we go and we put into this reflection, and then we go and we tell people. So that's the telling part, or the
Mhm.
writing down part, the teaching part.
It's what the
that
lessons are. Like
that
yeah.
requires tremendous work and effort to understand from the beginning to where we are now.
Right. I
And
mean,
that's what I'm saying is to take something complex and distill it to something simple require a lot of um, understanding. If you cannot simplify it, meaning you don't understand it enough. I think that's what Einstein said.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, if I totally agree. Or I mean, it's about it's about taking people on a journey with you, and you can't do that unless unless you really know it. Like and you know what that story is, and you know where you want to take them. I mean, I don't. Anyway, I think we're a little over time for the night, but yeah, it's at the end of the day, keep it simple, stupid. Like it's there's so much power and simplicity.
Well, I like the simplicity. I'm not sure about the kiss. I think it's
Yeah.
simple. It's simple, but it's not stupid. It's simple but beautiful.
No, stupid is for you. It's a reminder to tell yourself, hey, stupid, like, not to the other person. It's keep it simple, you idiot, just keep it simple, you idiot, like that's what that means. Like it's not like, hey, keep it simple, you dipshit, you know what I mean? It's a no, it's you're telling yourself like, keep it simple, stupid. Like you're telling yourself stupid.
You're telling
Yeah,
your
the
writer.
elephants. Yeah. The writer's telling the elephant you're stupid. It's like keep it simple, elephant. You stupid idiot. So yeah, that's what that's about. But yeah, anyway. Look, question we can leave with everybody. Or do you have any final thoughts before we
I guess
depart?
keep it simple. Stupid.
There you go. Or how about keep it simple,
I
elephant?
always I always say keep it simple and stupid.
Keep it simple and stupid. No. It's keep it simple, you idiot, comma, stupid. Yeah.
Okay.
So the question we can leave with everybody is how close are you to being able to describe your why in a simple manner that anyone can understand? People, hell, screw the why. How close are you? How close are you to be able to explain your values to somebody else that in a simple manner that anybody can understand? Like, I mean, I can't even tell you how hard it is for my team to tell me what they care about, and why they care about those things. Like it's like, oh, I guess I do. Interesting. Maybe, huh? I do like that. I feel like it's like, what the fuck? Like, how do you not know? Like, how are we so blind to what we all care about? Anyway, I don't want to go down that road, but thanks for joining us, and we will see you all tomorrow night.
Yeah, sounds good. See ya.